Good morning everybody, and thank you very much for joining us on the latest Lawshare Q&A. I'm delighted to be joined by my partner and head of our specialist travel litigation team, Joanne Brine. Hi Jo, how are you doing?
Hi, good, thank you. Thanks for speaking to me today.
Thank you very much for joining us. Today we're going to be discussing convention cases and specifically looking at air and sea travel, aren't we? So I suppose my first question to you is, what is the Montreal Convention?
So the Montreal Convention governs travel by air and liability for bodily injury to passengers, either for injuries sustained during the flight or during embarkation and disembarkation.
And how's that caused problems recently for a claimant in a case that I believe was actually heard here in Manchester?
Well, one of the quirks of the convention is there's a 2-year limitation period which can catch people out. Unfortunately, that was the case in a recent decision from the courts in Manchester. There was a claimant who was travelling on a 2-week package holiday from Egypt to Manchester when a bag fell out of an overhead locker and struck her, which should be a straightforward claim under the convention because there's a strict liability upon the carrier. However, although it was a TUI package, the carrier of the airline is actually TUI Airways rather than TUI UK, and her solicitors identified the wrong defendant and issued and served proceedings against TUI UK. That went before the courts when the defendants raised that in their defence, and unfortunately for that claimant, the claim was struck out because of the failure to identify the correct defendant.
Right, so is there no recourse in these circumstances? Could you rely on the general discretion, section 33 of the Limitation Act 1980, for example?
Yeah, unfortunately not. In the Montreal Convention cases, it's strict and the limitation period is strict, so it is a complete get-out clause for the defendant. It's a complete failure of the case.
Right, so I guess in these circumstances, a start reminder firstly to not only commence proceedings at the last minute, but secondly to double and perhaps even triple check that your contractual documents when you're drafting your pleadings to ensure all the correct defendant is named.
Absolutely, and I think here actually they've been named in correspondence, so check your correspondence, check your contractual documents, and issue early is the solitary lesson.
Right. So I understand there are changes afoot in relation to claims being brought in relation to accidents at sea. Please could you tell us what they are and when will they apply from?
Yeah, sure. For once it's a change of the CPI which may make things a little bit easier for some of us PI lawyers. All claims for passengers that are on an international carriage at sea are governed by the Athens Convention, again with it's a self-contained sort of regime. And historically, all court proceedings have had to be brought in the Admiralty Court, which is out of the norm for PI lawyers because we're normally in the County Court and the King's Bench Division. Mm-hmm. So it could catch people out. And again, if you'd issued and served late, near to the limitation period, and you'd issued in the wrong court, it could be fatal to your claim. So the new change in the rules means that unless your claim arises from a collision at sea, or unless it involves issues of seamanship, so maybe whether the boat should have sailed or not in poor weather, or something that's directly relating to the operation of the vessel, then you can bring a claim in the County Court or the King's Bench Division in the usual way, which just makes things a little easier for us.
Okay, well, yeah, so a good change basically.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you ever so much, Jo. Interesting changes for our Lawshare member firms. If you are getting away yourselves, I hope you enjoy a thoroughly well-deserved and relaxing break. If you do have any questions regarding what we've covered today, if you have any clients who've unfortunately suffered an accident abroad, you know where we are, lawshare@jmw.co.uk. Do get in touch with the team, who of course in turn put you in touch with Jo and her specialist team here at JMW. Thanks very much for joining us. I look forward to seeing you on the next occasion.